On this Globe Trekker special, we are rediscovering some of the world's great journeys by planes, trains, and automobiles. Sammy Sabiti, Ian Wright, Justine Shapiro, Megan McCormick, Estelle Bingham, Andrew Dado, Bradley Cooper, Jonathan Atherton, and me, Zay Harding, will be traveling through some of the world's great landscapes, finding out about the do's and don'ts of international borders, what to do about food for your journey, and hiring some classic cars. Ever since the Wright brothers opened up the skies in 1903, planes have given us a whole new way to see our planet. And in light planes, you're still low enough to enjoy the view. How about flying to the Bahamas from Fort Lauderdale in Florida by seaplane? And from the mainland of Venezuela, you can take an air taxi to one of the 300 islands of Los Roques. The quickest way to get around the little islands of the Maldives in the Indian Ocean is by air taxi. In China, there's been a boom in air travel, although you wouldn't know it, judging by the lack of passengers on this flight Megan took. But you won't be lonely in Papua New Guinea, as Jonathan Atherton finds out.
Well, there's no railways in Papua New Guinea and hardly any roads. So if you want to get around and see the country, you're going to have to fly a bit. Now, Air New Guinea go to most places, but it can get a bit expensive. And even if you do have a ticket, sometimes the planes don't even show up at all. That's true, isn't it?
Cultural differences are no obstacle when you have time to get to know the locals, as Ian Wright does in Iran.
Good day. Anytime you can use that. Good day.
Where's my parachute?
Your parachute.
Yeah.
The great thing about light aircraft is you can use them for sightseeing. In Kenya, because the terrain is so rough, you're never far from an airstrip, and it's well worth taking at least one trip by plane, as Estelle Bingham does, in order to see the Rift Valley.
And we're up and away. It's quite romantic, isn't it, being in a bush plane? It's kind of like the out of Africa. But the landscape from here does look quite amazing, doesn't it?
Absolutely. As we go along, we'll drop over the Rift Valley, and you'll see the lakes of the Rift. It's absolutely beautiful.
The Rift Valley stretches the length of Kenya and Tanzania and can be seen with the naked eye from the moon. Some of the earliest human remains were discovered here, so it's universally thought of as the birthplace of mankind.
Lining up for a landing. Oh my God.
The Australian outback is massive, but you can cover more ground by seeing it from the air. You've heard of flying doctors? How about a flying priest?
Baptized children, I marry people, and I bury people. Match, and dispatch. Is that visions of you like dropping holy water like crops flying?
Bradley Cooper has chartered a plane to see Alaska. Most of the area he's flying over is totally unexplored and inaccessible. If you look at a map, none of these places have names.
Experience of a lifetime right here.
Many small aircraft are used commercially for freight, sightseeing, photography, and even scheduled flights.
At ride was unbelievable. Yeah, that was pretty good. Like I said, I never felt bliss like that. I've been in airplanes a lot, but I didn't want to land. It's really true, I didn't want to land. Road is 140 miles away. If something happens, it means we're at the mercy of the weather. He won't be able to come in for a while, and we can't just walk out, take 3 or 4 weeks. That's not an option.
On all these light aircraft flights, of course, safety is paramount. It's important to pay attention to the cabin crew.
Okay, are we all listening up? Because I'm only going to say this once, right? You've got 3 safety exits. That's down the aisle, the first doors, the second doors, and there you've just pulled a handle. You find your life jackets under the seat, take them out, pull them over, and pull it tight. Try to pull it tightly. You got that? Right, have a pleasant flight. If there's anything you want, I'll just be up the end, okay? What was that? No, there's no film, God bless you. It's a short flight.
In Micronesia, Megan hitches a ride on a Pacific missionary aircraft. This is a Beech 18. It was built in the 1950s and was brought here by Christian missionaries as an air ambulance to ship sick people and medical supplies from island to island. Believe it or not, this is a commercial flight. An Army plane is an unusual way to travel, but it's what Ecuador's internal airline uses for trips into the jungle. It's not a bad alternative to an all-day bus ride. But if you want to take things one step further, as Ian Wright does, why not share an Army helicopter for an aerial trip into the Tian Shan Mountains of Kyrgyzstan?
One great way of getting a lift into the mountains is hitching a ride on this beast here. And loads of Americans hired it out, so I gave them a bit of dosh and stole a little ride. It's going to be squashed. The Tianjin Mountains on the Chinese border are home to the world's least explored mountain ranges. Impossibly remote, with jagged peaks stretching to 7,000 meters, they are seldom visited. Only a handful of operators offer expeditions into these mountains.
Hitch a ride on a helicopter with a group of people, it's possible to heliski on these untouched slopes for as little as $250. Trains symbolize the romance of travel. They're generally cheap, but best of all, someone else does the driving. For our travelers, it's the favorite way to go because a train ride is not just a means to an end. It's often the heart of the trip. Our intrepid globetrotters endure dodgy conditions beyond the call of duty in order to take some of the most exciting train rides in the world.
This guy is cleaning his bloody socks in the sink.
Don't look at the floor. Don't want to look at the floor.
Oh, you see? Yeah. A bite of it.
First class must be over this way.
The challenging conditions in Ethiopia are more than made up for by the views. This train ride is so out there, the local people always seem pleased to see you.
17.5 hours to go. I haven't got a seat. And I think it's going to be a rough journey.
It's an 18-hour train ride to get from the capital, Addis Ababa, east to the Muslim-walled city of Harar.
And here's the lane, okay? Gotta have a beer, get me through the journey. If you didn't open it, not with your teeth. Oh, no. Oh, there. What am I doing? I'm trying to get to the toilet. Is it up there? Right, this is the moment of truth. It's been 10 hours now. I think I can hang on another 10.
This train ride takes you to the Eastern Highlands. Ethiopia is a fascinating, rarely visited country with its own script, clock, and calendar. And wherever you're traveling, the great thing about trains is they seem to bring out the friendly side of people.
What is there to do on the trains? Can you get food and...
Yes, you can get food on the train.
Yeah?
You can't go to the toilet in the train.
Yeah.
Want to share this egg with me? No. No.
Right, and...
This is going to be...
Right from the dawn of the steam age, people have been enthusiastic about trains. So many people love them so much, and in the UK, several of the earliest trains have been preserved. Justine Shapiro takes a nostalgic trip in the north of England.
There are a lot of people wanting to take this train.
The train runs from Carlisle, near the Scottish border, to the Peak District town of Settle.
Would you like a cracker with some caviar?
Oh, no, really, I couldn't. Really, no.
Oh, please.
No. Well, all right.
By the time Queen Victoria took the throne in 1837, Britain was the greatest power in the world, and the steam train was a potent symbol. Goods could be transported faster and cheaper, and people could travel in a speed and luxury never before dreamed of. Britain was leading an industrial revolution, and the Carlisle to Settle Railway was one of its impressive achievements.
The Industrial Revolution reached all corners of the British Isles, even into the Scottish Highlands, where another iconic steam train is still in action, as Megan McCormick finds out.
I am so excited about this journey. First of all, I love trains, but this is supposed to be one of the best train journeys in the world. It's called the West Highland Railway. Costs about £21, which is around $35 for 2 short hours on the train, but it is going to be magnificent.
The earliest railways used horses to draw carts along the rails, but in 1804, the first steam-powered locomotive was built in Great Britain, where it remained the main form of traction right up until the mid-20th century. The West Highland Railway runs from Glasgow via Fort William to Mallaig on the coast. Its Gaelic name, Rathad Iorain Nan Ailion, means the iron road to the Isles. But there are unmissable train journeys all over the world, trips justified by their nostalgic atmosphere and, of course, scenery. And I took a trip well worth taking for its own sake, the Transalpine Express on New Zealand's South Island. It runs from Christchurch to Greymouth, but the scenery is so spectacular, some people don't get off the other end, but stay on the train round trip.
This is New Zealand's longest train with up to 15 carriages. Now this is my seat right here, which looks comfy, nice wide windows taking the scenery, but I've been told, if you don't mind standing and a little wind in your hair, the open-sided observation deck is the place to be.
The completion of the Transalpine Railway line in 1923, with its nearly 20 tunnels and numerous viaducts, massively cut the journey time across the Southern Alps. one of the world's most spectacular rail journeys. The Transalpine is very popular with travelers and costs about $150 return. Halfway through the journey, a 5-mile-long tunnel cuts through to the other side of the Southern Alps.
What a difference a few miles can make. On that side of the tunnel, it was dry grassland. On this side, it's green and wet, as it should be, because on the West Coast, it rains up to 20 feet every year.
This is one of the highest train journeys in the world, rising to an altitude of 15,000 feet through dizzying mountain scenery. Justine is in Argentina on a classic train ride into the Andes.
Now I know why this trip is called, what's it called? The Train to the Clouds, I think is what it's called. Oh, I've got altitude sickness.
And round here, there's only one answer for that: cocoa leaves.
I just put it in my mouth?
I
feel like a goat. Don't chew it a lot, he said. Okay.
Coca is actually illegal in Argentina, but up here in the Andes, it's tolerated and you see people chewing it everywhere.
It tastes like bitter tea leaves.
It's a long journey, with lots of unexplained stops and nearly 50 tunnels and bridges in between.
But perhaps the most breathtaking and adventurous train ride you can take is through Copper Canyon in northwestern Mexico. It's one of the last remaining wildernesses in the Americas, 4 times as big as the Grand Canyon and 1.5 times as deep. The historic Chihuahua al Pacifico Railroad is an engineering masterpiece. The train ride takes you from Los Mochis on the western coast of Mexico to Creal in the Sierra Madre Mountains.
One of the best things that you can do is stand right at the very front of the engine. But you've got to speak nicely to the guard, and it helps to flash some cash. Up here, there's nothing between you and the tracks except a metal grid to scoop mashed cows off the line.
This is weird, I tell you. This is mad. Because there's nothing in front of you. Everything's pushing you rather than just sitting down. Oh boy, this is really weird. Tunnel coming, tunnel coming! Woo!
And if you have a real sense of adventure and you want to get some fresh air, there are even better ways to see the view. Justine's in Ecuador, in Guayaquil, catching the train up to Yaguachi in the Andes Mountains.
The best thing about this train is riding on the roof.
This is more like it.
The thrilling and dramatic journey to 10,000 feet takes 9 hours and will only set you back a couple of dollars.
That looks good. Rice, banana, egg, tomato, pasta. It costs 50 cents. And I'm hungry because I got up at 5:30 this morning. Muchas gracias. Thank you. You speak English.
Ian's in Cambodia, hopping the slow train to the coastal village of Sihanoukville, taking the art of roof surfing one step further.
Been dying to do this ever since I was a kid. It's just like James Bond film. But don't try it, you know, if you come on the train, because it's childish, immature, it's not big, and it's not clever. Back in 1994, 3 travellers and 13 Cambodians were killed when the Khmer Rouge raided a train like this. Then the government made it illegal for foreigners to travel on trains. Now that ban's been lifted, but it's worth checking with other travellers and people at the station what the security is like. The top speed of 10 miles an hour, the train is painfully slow. You'll be on it all day, so sleep wherever you can.
While on many trains you can buy snacks and drinks along the way, there are some basics you might want to bring along with you.
Essentials. Gotta bring some water with you. Very, very, very important toilet paper roll.
You won't be going hungry on a train in Sri Lanka where there's supersized prawns. In Cameroon, there's loads of fresh produce on hand. Bread and bananas make excellent traveling fare. But the dining car on the Moscow to St. Petersburg train is really something to write home about.
Alright. Trying to fatten me up there. Yeah? Yep. Thank you very much. Look at this. Perfect, man. In the perfect carriage. The dining carriage. Got a bit of salmon, bit of caviar, of course, and a bit of the soup. Look at this. It's like Murder on the Orient Express.
It's a 15-hour train ride.
Yeah.
On these long journeys, getting yourself a sleeper can come in handy, even during the day.
Oh, look at this. It's brilliant. I love train journeys. I've got about 6 hours to go before I get to St. Petersburg. But look at this luxury. Lie down. Got my bed. Got my shoes off. That's why the carriage is cleared. Oh. I can hear a noise. I can't get to sleep. It sounds like a kid crying or something.
Built during the Raj, the Indian rail network is the most extensive in the world. It's also the world's largest employer, with 1.5 million employees. Andrew Dado makes a sensible choice and gets a sleeping compartment. On an Indian train, distances can be huge. He's making the 14-hour journey across the northern plains, from the holy Hindu city of Varanasi to Agra, the home of the Taj Mahal. Language is no barrier to communication if you've got a skill to entertain the crowds.
Time for bed, but the kitchen staff are already thinking about breakfast.
Yeah, well, bed linen would have been nice, you know, but let's be honest. I've got the full-blown air conditioning. Good night.
And you'd almost certainly want a sleeper on the long trip north in Cameroon. The overnight train to the north is much, much longer than any other train in Cameroon and is always packed. The reason is that the only roads to the north are in terrible condition. So, like me, everyone who can takes the train to the end of the line at Ngaoundere and then continues their journey by road. Cameroon is on the west coast of Africa, and from the capital, Yaoundé, I head north to Ngaoundere. Because these trains are almost always full, make sure you book your couchette well in advance or you won't get one. It'll cost you about $50, but for me, it's worth it just to have a bed. Oh yeah, it's potluck who you share a room with, so you better hope no one has smelly feet. Those without a bed sleep where they can on the 16-hour journey north. By morning, the lush rainforests of the south have given way to a much drier landscape, dotted with unique conical thatch-roofed houses. And in Chile, you can step back to the golden age of travel on a sleeper.
Hola. Coche, cama, por favor. On there? Gracias.
Beautifully preserved 1930s trains like this one cost about $40 for a third-class sleeper to get you about halfway down the country.
I think I'm on the wrong train.
In the long Latin American country of Chile, Ian's taken a third-class sleeper from the capital Santiago to the German settlement of Frutillar.
It's great. It's just like the movies. Oh, I love it.
In South Africa, most people take the train from Johannesburg all the way to the Zimbabwe border, but Sammy is going as far as Makado, a 10-hour overnight ride.
They said the trains were very colourful. They weren't kidding. Book your ticket, you're paying for a compartment like this. Not bad, pretty spacious, but for an extra 25 rand, you get bedding, and they're making up for you. Compartments are quite nice actually, they're well equipped. Got a sink under there, that's cool. Got a shaver's socket over there, and here's a tip. Pay double, book the whole thing, and you won't end up sharing with someone else. Despite the scare stories I've heard about travelling on South African trains, they appear to be fairly safe.
To me, a train is very safe. You see now, I'm relaxing very good, I'm enjoying myself.
I would really encourage people from overseas, abroad, to use the train. I haven't had any problems, I haven't had luggage getting lost on my way, so I feel very safe on the security side of it.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine. I've got a nice breakfast and nice hot coffee.
Oh, thanks a lot, that's brilliant, thank you.
Enjoy it, man.
Cheers, I will. Oh, look at that, breakfast in bed.
But breakfast is the least of your worries in China, where it can be tricky just getting a ticket. The best thing to do is just get on and worry about the details later.
I have absolutely no idea which direction to go in. Yingwu? Yingwu? This way? Okay. That way? This is what you call the long march. Silly me, train office. 1个小时以后 Yeah, one. Okay, 谢谢. That way. Can you do Alessante Gunya me uchoya? Yeah, you know, that's a classic Chinese folk song. Can you sing that one?
After a good night's sleep, Justine's crossed the provincial border to arrive in Kunming, the capital of Yunnan. But on some train trips, the borders are international. Ian's in Hungary, approaching the Romanian border.
My destination is a land of haunted castles, werewolves, and vampires. My first stop is Transylvania's most picturesque medieval town, Timisoara.
Vampire.
Yeah.
Vampire. Dracula.
Yeah. Was it?
Dracula.
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 Vampy.
Yeah. Look, in there.
Who's that? See if you can guess.
Passport here. Yeah. Oh, dear. Are they? Passport? No. Okay.
Asta 90. 90 atunci.
What, they're friendly, yeah?
Ah, passport! Hey.
Dai pașaport, să te dai.
There's no, how many more people are going to get in this carriage? Get some more guards in there. People told me it was going to be a big hassle at the border and everyone would be unfriendly, but this is great. It's like a comedy sketch.
So now an expert with borders, Ian's about to take on the ultimate challenge, Chinese border guards.
Wow, check this out. Only 2 hours outside of Beijing, and we're following the Great Wall of China. That is sexy.
This journey takes you from Beijing in China across the border to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia.
We were a little bit worried about traveling alone because we heard about people getting stories, hassled or robbed on the train.
Bring a Walkman because the piped music just drives you absolutely crazy, and it also brings back the sanity after those arguments with the border guards.
5 hours into the journey now, and everyone just seems to be chilling out best way they can. It's 9 o'clock in the evening, we stopped, and I'm not sure whether this is the actual Chinese-Mongolian border or what. No one knows anything. Some nice music over there, Toya Wilcox crossed with the Crankies or something. But anyway, I haven't got my passport, so I'll have to go back, because if your visa's not in order, bad news. Yeah? Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
It's no photo. Now please be inside. Hello, please be inside.
I ain't got a clue what's going on. What's happening here is they're changing the wheels on the train because the gauge... Keep filming. What they're doing is changing the wheels on the train because the Mongolian gauge is about that bit smaller than the Chinese side, so they're actually dragging the wheels and putting them under. Woo! It's like some mad film set. I thought the toilets were really going to stink, but perfect. And this is unbelievable. It's actually got a plug. Woo! Rarity. Now get out of it, for sake.
But what if you're a free spirit and don't want to be bogged down by train timetables? You've got your driving license and you can rent a car. The wackier the better. You can get cars a lot cheaper and a lot more interesting than the ones you find on the way out of the airport. The Beat generation made the road trips sexy, but none of it would have been possible without one man.
Henry Ford was the man to see. He invented Model T in 1903. I'm in his museum in Dearborn, Michigan. There's so much to see inside. Come along for the ride. Peace. This is the Model T, and it was this car that made Henry Ford the richest man in the world. It was his idea to design a car that anybody could afford, an everyman car. And he calculated by paying his own workers a little more money, they would then be able to afford the very cars that they were manufacturing. From 1908 to 1927, 17 million Model Ts were produced. And Henry Ford could do that because he perfected the automated assembly line, he invented the idea of interchangeable car parts, and he became known as the father of mass production.
Boy, I don't know. Let's hope we can make it back home.
Well, maybe we should stop. We shouldn't take any chances.
Oh my gosh, it's died. Oh, geez, we're going to have to crank start this vehicle.
Crank start this vehicle?
Yep.
I'm getting it. Almost.
You
feel the need for speed.
By the 60s, car designs became sleeker. Megan has picked up a classic Corvette to experience the Skyline Drive in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. It passes through the Shenandoah National Park, full of wildlife and dramatic rock formations. And a classic car is nowhere more at home than on the legendary Route 66, where Justine is meeting up with some enthusiasts.
Hi. Hi. I'm Justine.
Hi, Justine.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Justine.
Nice to meet you.
Same here. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is great.
We'll show you what Route 66 in Illinois is all about today.
Yeah.
And what a better way of doing it than having these classic cars.
Right,
So that's what we like to do.
And is that an original color on that Chevrolet? Is that pink color original?
Yes, it is.
That's a stunning color, huh?
This is our car.
Oh, I was wondering. It's beautiful. I love the color of this.
We recently just did the Route 66 trip all the way to
the whole thing.
Santa Monica.
So
we pride ourselves on
Route 66 goes from where to where?
Chicago to Santa Monica, California. Actually, it's 2,448 miles, and we were privileged to do it 2 months ago and cover 4,792 miles round trip.
It would take a week to drive from Chicago to Santa Monica, so instead, Justine's driving from Wilmington down to Springfield in Illinois.
What they did is they attached the towns with additional paving. As a result, here in Illinois, that created 300 miles of continuous paved road, and that was remarkable in its day.
Built in the 1920s, John Steinbeck called Route 66 the Mother Road, the road of flight and the glory road to the land of second chance.
It's a labor of love introducing these people to the real Americana, Route 66. It's hometown America, and it brings them a sense of time and place of where it all started and what life was like in the slow lane.
We're not being passed up by semis. I can pull off the road now. I can smell the flowers. I can take a picture. I can have a picnic. This is the way things were. That's the way things still are. And isn't that wonderful? Route 66 is just loaded with gimmicks. It's a commercial road. Isn't it wonderful that we can go back and relive what your parents or maybe grandparents experienced? What a wonderful way for living history.
Obviously, the cheapest way to get a car is like anywhere in the world, I'd imagine. You find a person that's selling their personal car, and you decide this is a good deal, and you take it home with you. You obviously pay a premium when the thing sits on a lot. I prefer a wreck, though. You got to see the Southwest in a real junker.
Justine is in Tucson, Arizona, looking for her wreck.
Okay, bye. I think I just bought a car. It's not as stupid as it sounds. A lot of travelers do it. It's a great way to see the country, and when I'm finished, I can sell it to somebody else. I wonder if there's a notice board around here. Is there a place that you can put this where guests can see it?
Sure, no problem.
Great, thanks. I have a feeling this car's going to be a little bit of a gas guzzler, but it shouldn't be too hard to find somebody reliable, responsible, who can help me share costs.
Hi there.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm looking to buy a car, take on the Ocean Road.
A car like this would cost you $2,000. Good condition, ideal for traveling.
Right. Can I check it out?
Yes, you can.
Right.
Ian's in Southeast Australia, where they have an interesting system. You can buy a wreck to sell back later, minus the mileage used.
The Great Ocean Road follows the coast west and is one of the most scenic drives in Southeast Australia. Afterwards, I'll cut inland to visit the Grampians National Park. If you're on a tight budget, it's a good idea to pick up travellers to share the cost.
So do you like to drive?
I like traveling a lot. You
in my mind.
Is it a 4-door or is it a 2-door? I mean, because I don't know if I could actually ride around with someone with a 4-door. I mean,
and we could take them to Sedona, and I could like sell some to the gourmet markets, you know? I mean, that'd be really a great opportunity for me to make money. Excuse me, I could drink some coffee now.
You put, how's my walking? You know, like those trucks, how's my driving?
Okay, let's go, I'll drive.
Have you got a long car? Because I've got a big boom, you know. Yes, it's a big one. You can put it along the top like that, and I've got a couple of surfboards in the back seats like that.
I'd like to see some of the less traveled places. I'm a good driver. I don't smoke, drink just a little. I'd love to go.
So when are you ready?
We just left Tucson. I had no idea the car was going to be this big, but the mechanic checked it out, says it runs a little hot, drinks a lot of gas, but so far so good, right, Lisa? Yeah. Open air, open skies, open road!
have you ever seen that film, Thelma and Louise?
Yeah.
Have you seen the ending to that?
Yep. Are we going to go flying off a cliff?
Well, I don't know.
Okay. Wow.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, we got some music. It's got that nice...
Yeah, 8 channels of static, but that's all right.
This is a luxury Honda Cruiser.
Except I can't seem to turn off the windshield wipers.
The Maui Cruiser Special set me back $22 a day, and that includes the 24-hour breakdown coverage. But don't forget to get Paul's pager number before you leave.
That the car kind of ran hot, but I didn't think that I'd get the key stuck in the ignition, which is what I've done. And the tow man came and he managed to pull out the key, but there's a little bit left. Anyways, we have to take it to a mechanic now who's, I guess, has to take apart the steering column or something. I'm sorry, Lisa. You know, it's an old car. Usually you put the wrong key in and you pull it out, but...
The tow truck dropped me off at the small town of Peach Springs at the west rim of the Grand Canyon. This region is home to the Hualapai Indians.
So good to be walking.
I can't believe I paid $2,000 for this car, and the bloody thing's broke already. You gotta laugh, ain't you? Right, I'll see you later. So do you usually get towed around like this in Australia? Is it?
Yeah.
It's a good cheap way to travel.
Definitely.
Save on petrol.
Toward Haleakala Crater, which is supposed to be just an incredible sight. I'm planning to camp out overnight and see the sunrise in the morning.
Well, it worked out pretty well. I mean, while I was in the Grand Canyon, they were fixing my car. It's great to get it back. If they'd had a few more days to work on it, they would have been able to replace the key, but Dave showed me another way to start my car.
There you go, Justine.
Thanks a lot.
Gotcha. You remember how to turn it on?
I think so. Let's see. This is off, and this is on.
Yep, you got it.
All right.
Have a good time.
All right, take care, Dave. Bye.
While the car was being fixed, Lisa went her own way, and Justine heads north through the Mojave Desert, where summertime temperatures hardly ever drop below 100 degrees.
It's a long, hot drive through the desert, so like many travelers going to and from the Grand Canyon, you can break up the trip with a night in Las Vegas.
Justine has seen the real Southwest with its vast landscapes of canyons and deserts. But every road trip has to come to an end. You haven't really seen a country if you stick to its airports and resorts. We've tried to get out there off the beaten track. See it, feel it, taste it, touch it. Here are our favorite trips. In 6th place, the Rift Valley in Africa by plane, because it's the only way to see one of the planet's most impressive natural phenomena. At number 5, Alaska by light aircraft. There's simply no other way to see the incredible untouched expanses of Arctic North America. At 4, relive the atmospheric age of steam on the Carlisle to Settle Railway in England. At number 3, by a classic car. Get a taste of 50s and 60s Americana on historic Route 66. At number 2, on the route west from Melbourne along the Great Ocean Road in Australia, you can see one of that continent's great natural wonders. And our top ride ever, into the Andes with the cliff-hanging loops, spirals and traverses of the Train to the Clouds in Argentina.